for this continued opportunity to bring, I say, the good news about life to you each year. And welcome this year to Ignite Your Life. That's our theme. You'll be learning ways to greater vibrancy, joy, and fulfillment. I'm your MC and a workshop presenter today, an organizer, and bringing this wonderful team of people together just for you. Some housekeeping, additional housekeeping. We're starting now, and we're breaking for lunch, as Lori mentioned. In the afternoon, we have 4 interactive sessions. And for you to experience the in-depth healing practices. And this is a time for you, and you can attend 2 of them. They're very tight, so we're going to move quick in the afternoon. It's for those who've been here, breakouts are a new experience for us. So we're trying it with a very tight schedule, and then maybe next year we go to a less tight. But just know you only have 10 minutes in between sessions and get to the next one. You're welcome in any session, and with the caveat that for the acupuncture sound session, there's only room for 40 because it is the actual experience of acupuncture. So there's a limit there. So if you want that one, just really, know that there's 40, and when those seats are filled, you'll have to come back to the next one, or hopefully next year. We have raffle prizes. This year we have a laptop computer, we have a blender, we have 2 baskets donated by Cara and Mike, Mark, her son, who set up the food right across the hallway, and we help support that as much as you can and would like to. Everything is for $1, and they put together these incredible baskets for our raffle prizes, and then 2 beaded trees of light. Sonia, Susan, and Blossom will assist you in finding your rooms or answering any of your questions. This is our 5th annual summit. So over 700 women have learned new ways to reduce their stress, and through our evaluation report, feeling more joyful, more inner peace, and having a greater sense of more control over their own lives. The Tree of Life symbol, which I had to slip this. The Tree of Life symbol represented here in this beautiful image of a woman, and that lives in each one of us. And also the Tree of Life represented in this laid bowl that we use each year for our Celebration of Life ceremony on Saturdays, on Saturday. But we brought it in today, particularly for part of our identification of who we are as women and the life force energy, creative force that lives within us. This symbol is used throughout the Americas, the Tree of Life, to represent wholeness. And it captures what you'll be learning and experiencing today, and let me explain a bit. Notice the giving of birth, if you can see that, and if we could turn down the lights just a little bit more, that would be great. So we give birth to what we hold in our hearts, and the infant is so small there in the heart, right? And then the baby, the infant, the creation grows and grows, and we give birth to our creation. Well, the law of attraction cards on your seats today is a representation of this truth. This truth of what it is that we desire, what we want, begins in our heart. So I ask you to contemplate, what are you wanting to attract more of in your life? What are you wanting to give birth to today? Are you seeking more harmony, greater health, new ways to de-stress? Maybe different ways to connect with your family, with your loved ones, with your community. What is it that you are seeking? We have designed today to give you the opportunity to find more clarity in that. Because once we get clear on what we want and hold it in that powerful way in our hearts, it can come to us. we can give birth to it. But just as in this image, it is a process to give birth, and we have to hold on to that hope and desire and wanting and clarity of what it is for it to germinate, for it to give life. And today could be the beginnings of that new birth for you. I know it has been for many women who have attended this summit over the past 5 years. This morning, we're going to hear from Dr. Chris Estes about how he responded to something that was on his heart. And I resonate with this, so excuse the emotion. Leaving a prestigious position as the leading obstetrician at a medical school to create a cutting-edge holistic health center in South Beach in Miami. So what is on our heart, we have to move toward, or we get sick. And that was my own personal life experience. The tree's deep roots draw up nutrients from Mother Earth, who feeds all of us. And Nettie Jean Scarsafafa, a former judge and elder in the Lakota tradition, has practiced and taught macrobiotic cooking and is a teacher and mentor to hundreds of women where I live in upstate New York. She will help you connect with the source energy from Mother Earth so you too can experience the Earth's vibrancy. The vitality of those nutrients coming up from the Earth travel up invisible veins within the trees. Can we see those veins in the trees? No, but we know that the nutrients must be traveling up and feeding the entire rest of the tree. Well, like the tree, you have invisible veins called meridians that carry life force energy throughout your body. Unblocking the meridians through acupuncture ignites your life. Dr. Emily Rowe, a physician with a master's degree in Chinese medicine, co-founder of the Miami Beach Comprehensive Wellness Center with Dr. Estes, will provide acupuncture in her workshop. Accompanying her is Dr. Estes and Jeff Dean, familiar to those who have attended other summits. Jeff is a musician, sound healer, and meditation teacher who too followed his dream, what was on his heart, leaving his law practice. The tree's branches reach toward the heavens. We too are infinite beings, and we experience that when we get quiet. When we get quiet with ourselves, and that is really darn difficult, let me tell you. But we have an expert in our presence, someone I so admire, and a long-time friend, and our lives wove together like this, like the DNA strands. We came together, we separated, we came together, and now we're on the same path. So Claudia Castillo, a phenomenal mother, and a good friend to my daughter, a life coach and mindfulness facilitator, will help you find clarity and discover your own inner wisdom. See, once we can get quiet with ourselves, there's a truth within us that comes up and speaks to us. And you'll do that while you practice her miracle morning routine that you can take home with you and practice every day, which includes mindfulness, breath, and movement. Well, wholeness is experienced when our voice aligns with our truth, right? When we can speak our own truth, no matter kind of what the consequences are, but there we are, we hear it, we know it, and we speak it. And as women, again, extremely difficult to really be able to say it. And when we don't, and I know won't ask hands to raise, but I can bet over half of the room has issues with your thyroid, which is right here. I didn't resign from my position at the medical school on time. Instead, the year before, I had my thyroid removed, right? I lost my voice. So it's important for us to get quiet with ourselves, find our voice, and then learn those ways in which we can express it. And with great honor, we have with us the co-founders of Brazilian Voices. They're international winning vocalists and songwriters Lauren Oliveira and Beatriz Malek will help you find your voice through rhythm and sound songs. And supporting the harmonization are other singers within that group: Vivian Neves, Maurice Caceres, Isabel Escosque, and Silvana Flores. Just as your invisible meridians can get clogged, your subconscious beliefs can stop you from birthing your highest desires. My workshop will help you identify and shift those limiting beliefs and learn a form of muscle testing to tap into your body's truth. Is this medicine good for me? Yep. Is it good for me? No. It's an amazing way of finding out what it is that your body, the wisdom in your body, is telling you. So in the afternoon, we had a little bit of a printing problem with the agendas. In the afternoon, after the breakouts, what's not on there is Jody Kessler's amazing yoga, very soft movement exercise where you're going to identify your 7 chakras, you have information in your packets about it, and then you cleanse them, clear them. This is going to help us break free of any residue that's left, and with her gentle yoga and chakra cleanse. Jody has been practicing yoga for more than 3 decades and is a songwriter and recording artist who will come back this evening and we will join her in song and also just be able to hear her beautiful melodic voice. We'll end this evening, as we have in other years past, with Jeff Dean and myself taking you on a guided meditation. This year you're going to go into your sacred garden. And a sacred garden is a place within ourselves, because we're a very expansive self, where we can plant our own seeds and we can nurture them that came throughout the day, and we nurture them through this creation in your garden. Supporting us each year is Susan Dua, founder of Parent to Parent of Florida, also in the 1980s. That's how I got here. And she's now an amazing instructional designer. Sonia Bogensberger is a phenomenal marketing guru, volunteer this year, life coach, and Blossoms has also joined us to help us today. Please read the full bios in your packets. This will be the last introductions. There's more information there. Each individual is an expert in the field. So as they stand, the presenters are in the room. Would everybody welcome and thank them for their presence today? Presenters, please stand. Helpers in the back, please stand. Brazilian Voices, please stand. Thank you. And now, this can work. And we're going to, we have a theme song this year. The volume is very low. Maybe it won't work. And if the Brazilian Voices come up, and we just begin to harmonize a little bit as a group before we begin. And these are the words, and this is a song especially written for this conference. everybody moved up. So you'll learn more about the song in Finding Your Voice workshop this afternoon. And now we begin. Dr. Essex, thank you.
Morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the privilege of being one of the few Y chromosomes in the room. And this wonderful audience of powerful women doing wonderful things, and for this opportunity to come and speak here at the Family Cafe. Many thanks to Lori and Paula for inviting me. I'd also like to take a moment to talk about the people who inspired me to be here. It's often said that behind every successful man, there's a woman who's very surprised. Thanks to be here. And I'd like to introduce a very surprised woman, my wonderful partner in life, Emily Rowe, who's generally one of the inspirations for getting me into the current practice that I'm in. There she is, there's Emily, and Dr. Rowe. She doesn't like to be called Dr. Rowe, by the way. She hates that. She doesn't want to be associated with doctors, and who can blame her? And I'm going to talk with you guys about that and how I kind of made my transition into what I'm doing. And as Paula mentioned earlier, I was in the conventional medical system in the university settings at the University of Miami. I held all sorts of leadership roles, like being the clerkship director and sitting on all the different admissions committees and curriculum committees, speaking at national conferences. I was on national boards of organizations and all these things. And I had always had a firm belief in complementary medicine, alternative medicine, or whatever you want to call it, things like acupuncture, meditation. And I'd always talk to my patients about it and referred for it and said, I don't really have a pill for you today, but I've got somebody with needles that's really good. And she's got herbs, and I know this other person who's show you how to stretch out, and I know this other person's going to teach you how to meditate. But I never really did it myself, and I always kind of saw that as something, well, it's not my place, because here I am in my white coat on the MD, when I do my sciencey thing. And then I started to realize, well, why don't I do that too? And so I took it on myself, with, like I said, with a little bit of prodding from other folks, and, taught myself a lot of these things, and went back and got educated in what we call functional medicine, which is really looking at source causes of disease and trying to figure out what's the basis of the physiology that's causing these problems, and learning how to do more advanced workups, because I was in a place where I saw women with the most complicated medical problems you could imagine. It was at the university, so everybody who's got all sorts of things no one else can figure out, they go to the university and they see all the best specialists. And they come back to me as their OBGYN because, we're kind of the point of entry for a lot of different things for women, and of course I took care of their family planning needs and their annual exams and delivering babies and all that sort of stuff. And we'd have these patients with chronic medical problems and no one ever got better. And they were just on this, circle. Well, the urologist said it wasn't my bladder, so he sent me to the neurologist. The neurologist said, well, it wasn't my spinal cord, so he sent me to, the orthopedic surgeon, and he said, well, you don't really need a hip replacement. So they sent me to the psychiatrist because I'm crazy, and I'm on all these meds. And then as soon as I walk in the door, they say, oh, someone told me you're bipolar, and ooh, okay, then anything I say is no longer valid, right? Which I never liked. I thought that was really messed up. And realize too that these are not permanent things that you have to suffer with. There are ways through, there are other ways to go about it. And so my approach is to try to combine the Western science and the things that we know, because the Western science is amazing, it's very useful for diagnoses, and then how do we blend that with other sorts of therapies, to really make comprehensive holistic wellness. So in our lives, I don't know if we turn this down a little, just move it a little farther away from my face. Can everybody still hear me? Okay. I'm loud anyway. Life is full of all sorts of difficult, stressful events. Things like birth. Birth is beautiful, birth is wonderful, birth is amazing, but it's also sometimes dangerous. Right? Things can happen to mom and to baby, but if you prepare for it, if you're ready, if you're healthy, it goes well most of the time. And we use, all sorts of techniques for that as well. Things like puberty, oh my God, talk about a difficult transition. Whichever side of it you're on, going through it yourself, or the parent that's, helping this little person become an adult. These are difficult things as well, as is menopause. And menopause gets a really bad rap. Like, you know, menopause is this awful, horrible thing that happens to women where everything falls apart and oh my God, now you're old. And like, you know, it's just pathology, pathology, pathology. But it's really just another transition. It's all about how you look at it. So one of our teachers that Emily and I love to go see is Master Jeffrey Ewan. He's a many-generation Taoist master, and he teaches us about looking at these issues in a different way. And the way he describes it in this tradition is that menopause is the time when you impregnate yourself. Yeah, interesting thought. I didn't think about that. Like all your life as a woman, you have been the creator, you know, the nurturer, the giver. But now is the time, as you go through, you can redirect your energy to truly creating something for yourself. Because you don't have to worry about reproducing anymore. I don't have to do that anymore. Now I can work on me. So this is your time to really give new birth to your life. So in the Taoist tradition, menopause is actually a time of relief, a time of joy. And it's just a matter of how you manage those symptoms and what you do as you go through this process. So now we're going to do some science, okay? And I'm also going to try to leave time at the end for questions. So someone's going to give me a heads up when I've got about 15 minutes left, so that way I can take some questions from the audience. And I'm going to go through these slides relatively quickly, but a little note about definitions. I mean, like, we're going to talk about some things that are put out there as medical fact, but if I come back here in 5 years, some of the things I tell you today might be totally wrong, okay? And I'm humble enough to admit that we don't know everything in Western medicine, but everything I'm showing you here is just matters of, you know, models and what we know now. So, what happens during your regular reproductive life? Well, you guys know the menstrual cycle. We have different peaks and troughs in our hormones, right? So the couple I want to draw your attention to that are really important around the time of menopause are these guys, your FSH and LH, estrogen and progesterone, okay? And when you come into the doctor and we're checking hormone levels, this is often the things that we're looking at. And this is the normal fluctuation. You can see like during the beginning of the cycle, your FSH, LH are low, they peak in the middle, that's what triggers you to ovulate, and after you ovulate, you make something that's called the corpus luteum, and that's what makes your progesterone go up. That's how we know if you ovulated or not. It's one of the signs of fertility, okay? The official definition of menopause is when that cycle stops happening for 1 year. So when you stop having menstrual periods for a year, that's our official definition of menopause. So if you make it 9 months, and then you have another period, sorry, you're not done yet. at least per Western medical conventions. The time that happens around them, when the periods are irregular, you're developing the symptoms, et cetera, is called perimenopause. And that transition can last anywhere from a year. Because I'm sure everyone here has a friend who had one hot flash, stopped having her periods, and then never had a problem again. Right? You know, I hear stories about this lady. I never see her because she doesn't need to come to the doctor. She's fine. But for those of you who have gone through those crazy periods that just come and they go, they start and they stop, you have the hot flashes that drive you crazy, the insomnia that comes along with it, the mood swings, all these other sort of things that come along. That period can last anywhere from a year up to 5, 6, 7 years. It just depends. Everyone's different. It does tend to run in families, so people who have bumpy menopauses from their mommies and aunties, like they tend to be that way too. But, you know, when we're going to evaluate this, most of the conventional thinking about this is when you come in and say, check my hormones, doc, I want to know what my hormones are. That's what they look at. They look at your FSH and LH, they'll look at your progesterone and estrogen. And, you know, that can give us a hint about what's going on, but it's not the entire story, okay? Generally speaking, your FSH levels are going to go really high. They're going to go up because they lose the feedback from the ovary. It's giving an estrogen. Then as the estrogen levels go down, the FSH levels go up. Progesterone levels will also go down because you're not ovulating anymore. When you don't ovulate, you don't make progesterone. Same thing with testosterone. Testosterone goes down sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. So if anyone here is going for that hormone check and they're thinking about doing hormone replacement, be sure they check your testosterone too. Because if you don't check testosterone, and testosterone is really low, and you don't fix that problem, you still have hot flashes. Okay, and other stuff like that. The two things are very, very closely linked. So this is the little diagram of that. You can see right around the time of menopause, right here, this is the transition time. Look at what happens to your estrogen levels. Wonky, all over the place, up, down, up, down, up, down. So sometimes when we're checking the hormone levels, we come back and we say, oh, doc, I've been hot flashing like crazy, I've got this horrible vaginal dryness, I've got insomnia, I haven't had a period in 6 months, but my estrogen level's high. It's because we caught it here. not here. It changes, even as much as within 24 hours. Okay, so just using the hormone levels is not the be-all and all. We use them, they're useful, but they're not the entire story. Another hormone I want to mention to you guys is called DHEA. Okay, it's the full name for this is dehydroepiandrosterone. Sorry, I didn't even say it right. So DHEA is a hormone that actually comes from your adrenal glands. Okay, that's little glands that live on top of the kidneys. They're also what produce your cortisol. You may have heard of cortisol, it's your stress hormone. Also your adrenaline, your norepinephrine and epinephrine. And DHEA levels tend to decline with age as well. And the number one symptom of low DHEA is fatigue, feeling tired. So anybody who comes in my office and says, Doc, I'm tired, and that's like pretty much everybody. Pretty much everybody is tired. Check this. Very simple to treat, very easy to replace, and usually you replace it just for like 4 to 6 months and people's bodies will recover and they'll come back up to the level where they're supposed to be. Okay? But this is an important one. So if you're having hormonal type issues, you want to do these things, complete workup should include DHEA as well. So just a little note about how I practice, and how we practice, I should say, at the Miami Beach Comprehensive Wellness Center, is that each patient is individual and considered on a one-on-one basis. We don't have like a massive workup that we do for every person. Like everybody comes in the door, you get the same workup, and then we work with that. No, I want to know you. I want to know what's going on with you right now. What's your history? What have you been exposed to? What kind of work did you do? Where do you live? All of these things make a big difference in the sort of workup I'm going to choose to do for that individual person. Now, like I said, there are some basics that we're going to do for everybody, and there are basic therapies and treatments that are good for everybody, like acupuncture, that's good for everything. Okay, you can go and get acupuncture for everything. But there is no one treatment that works at all times and all places for all women. It's not just for all patients, for anything, no matter what problem we're talking about, whether it's talking about menopause or talking about back pain or talking about your thyroid problems, whatever. You have to figure out what works for you, and it's different for everybody. So, it's telling me I gotta face you guys, like, so not turn my back on you. So feedback loop was pretty impressive. So, I'll talk briefly about some therapies around menopause, the things that we do. This is by no means comprehensive. There's many other things, but these are some of the highlights of things I like to talk about with folks who are going through the menopausal transition. And first, of course, is the regular medical therapies of hormone replacement. I prefer to use bioidentical hormones. I usually use creams or troches, which are little things that dissolve under the tongue, because when you absorb them that way, you actually get a better safety profile. Because everyone's heard about the bad stuff with hormones, like blood clots and stuff like that, but less likely to happen if you use transdermal type forms, which is the creams and stuff. Not 0%, and of course, hormones are not safe for every person. This is really important. Like, you really need to be careful with who you give hormones to. The vast majority of women, it's fine, but there's certain medical problems, other things that have happened to her in the past, which make giving her hormones a bad idea. Okay, things like breast cancer, blood clots, things like that. So we have to be careful with them, but they are useful. But it's only one part of the puzzle. It's not the whole thing. Complementary therapies, my number one go-to is acupuncture and Chinese herbs. Okay, acupuncture is a system that has been around for millennia. It works on many different conditions, basically by balancing out your body's own physiology. There's good medical evidence that these acupuncture meridians, and we'll talk about this more later in the session over in room K, we're all the way around the corner, all the way to the other side. And like Paula mentioned, be sure if you really want to do this, you get there early with sharp elbows, because we do have to cap the room for time's sake. But we're doing it twice, and it looks like we've got about that many people in the room, so hopefully if everyone's interested, they can come. But there really is scientific evidence that these things are real. They did studies where they injected certain kinds of dyes, labeled dyes, and watched the dyes go up the channel, like with actual imaging. So it's not some hocus pocus, voodoo stuff. This is real. It works and it's very effective. You need a good provider. Okay, someone has to know what they're doing with this. It's not easy. It's very complicated. As a matter of fact, it's just as complicated as Western medicine, if not more complicated in some ways. Especially when you start talking about herbs.
I'm very careful with herbs. Herbs, especially the Chinese formulas, are very complicated, and the herbs that work for your hot flashes versus her hot flashes versus her hot flashes may be completely different. So that's why when you read a lot of studies about things like, what's the most famous one everybody's heard of? Black cohosh. Most everybody's heard of black cohosh. It works for like maybe 20-30% of people because it's not the right herb for everybody. So it's good for some people, but it's not good for everybody, and it's rarely good by itself. It usually needs to be combined with other foods. Okay? So when you're talking herbs and you really, really want to do herbs, especially if you really want to do Chinese herbs, go to an herbalist who knows what they're doing. It's because it's not that easy. Other sort of natural therapies I like to prescribe people, something called Chaste Tree or Vitex. And also I told Paula as well, if people want a copy of my slides, we can figure out how to get it to people somehow. I'm happy to share these so you can take notes too, of course. But Chaste Tree is actually natural progesterone. It's very safe, easy to use, and oftentimes can help alleviate some of these symptoms of menopause, particularly things around insomnia and fatigue, irritability. It's good for that. Other hormonal supplements that I like to use are things like a combination of phosphatidylcholine and indole carbinol. That combination is actually a good liver support formula. It helps you metabolize your hormones more effectively because one of the things that happens is that your hormones go down. Like, everybody here know Price is Right? I love Price is Right. I used to fake sick when I was a kid to stay home and watch Bob Marley. Seriously. And remember the Plinko board? With the little it goes down thing? Hormone metabolism is the same way. It can go down different pathways. And there's a good pathway and a not so good pathway. Okay? And if you're going down a not so good pathway, you get buildup of basically toxic hormone metabolites. And these things will recirculate through your GI tract and your liver. And those are the things that actually cause the bad symptoms. Not just the lack of estrogen, but like these toxic metabolites. These are also the things that increase your risk for like estrogen-dependent cancers. So you want to make sure you get rid of those things. And things like phosphatidylcholine and indole carbinol kick on your body's mechanisms to make sure they go down the right path. So it's going down the happy Plinko path toward the, what is the $10,000 at the bottom, right? That's what you want. There's also maca and mucuna. These have become popular lately. They're good. Actually, adrenal supports is really how they work. But they are good to help balance folks' hormones. A lot of women feel much better on these guys. Very easy to get. Ashwagandha also. Ashwagandha is an Ayurvedic herb. Useful also for the adrenals, but it also seems to help balance out hormones around the time of menopause, particularly in the setting of fatigue. And of course, evening primrose. Most people have heard of evening primrose. It's another source of essential fatty acids, and is also useful for these. I also find it useful for folks with breast complaints, and I did put it up here, but also flaxseed oil. Flaxseed oil is useful for anyone with breast complaints. So fibrocystic breasts, painful breasts, the oils like evening primrose or flaxseed are great. And not just topical, but like take it, drink it, put them in a smoothie, or eat them in pills. Antioxidants like resveratrol and EGCG. You guys hear EGCG? I love EGCG. It's green tea extract. Drink lots of green tea. When you say drink green tea, don't just have a cup, like have a pot all day long. Okay? It's full of antioxidants, it's full of all sorts of good stuff. Also good for balancing out hormones. And DHEA I mentioned earlier. Don't forget about your DHEA level. Lots of people buy it just over the counter as a supplement. I really strongly encourage people to check their level, because if your level is normal for your age, you don't really need it. Okay? You don't really need it. But if your level is low for your age, you definitely need it. And it's very helpful. It makes a big difference for people. And of course, D3. Everyone here's heard of vitamin D. Okay? Check your vitamin D level. And I use that as a routine test almost. Almost everybody check their vitamin D level, because vitamin D is supposed to come from our food. But our food supply is relatively poor in vitamins and nutrients because of the way our food is produced. Just the way around, our soil is depleted, our animals are not fed the appropriate amounts of nutritious foods that will actually provide the things like vitamin D and vitamin K that we need in our diets, so we need to supplement it a little bit. Vitamin D is important to monitor though, because it's what we call fat soluble, so it sticks in you, and you can get toxic in it if you take super high doses for a long time, and that can cause trouble. It's hard to do, but if you're taking vitamin D supplements, you should be monitoring it to watch where you're at and make sure it's at the right level where you want it. And also the ranges of these things are not not quite right. The ranges of normal include abnormal people. So like, we really want your levels a little bit higher, on the higher end of the spectrum. Like 50 to 70 is what I like to see for most people for vitamin D. And last but not least, these other natural therapies like how to manage stress. Is there any way we can try to turn down the volume on the mic? I don't know if we have a lady person here, but the stress management tools that I like to use right off the bat with folks who are kind of new to this game is self-hypnosis. It's very simple, it's easy to do, it is a quick hit. I like to call self-hypnosis as a meditation for dummies. There's this great website I love, it's called hypnosisdownloads.com. Because professional hypnotherapy can be very, very expensive. It's, it's papers. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Can you speak up though?
So now I'll speak up a little bit, so now everyone can hear me, and I don't get too much feedback. So the Hypnosis Downloads is great because you can download a couple of these things, put them on your phone, your iPad, or your computer, and you just basically put on your headphones and listen to it. And it's a self-hypnosis session that lasts anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes, and you can do that every day. It doesn't take hours. You don't have to go into somebody's office. It's right there. Very simple, accessible. And I tell people to go on there and just download whatever speaks to you. They've got hundreds of them. Hundreds. So like, just take a look and see what speaks to you and download that and give it a try. I tell people to download a couple, and it really helps manage your stress. It can help with sleep. It can help with managing symptoms of menopause. It can help with lots of different things. And of course, meditation. My favorite meditation app I tell people about is called Insight Timer. Insight Timer. Insight Timer is great. It's great. Also free. Okay. You got all sorts of guided meditations right here on your phone. You got a nice little timer. It's got a pretty little, so like you don't get like a lousy alarm and you want to know, I want to meditate for 10 minutes but not get, zapped at the end. It's just like a nice little dong. So I tell people to download these things, keep them around, and whenever you do have that 10, 20 minutes, use it. Of course, an hour of meditation is better. 2 hours is amazing. But in a busy schedule, if you got 15, 20 minutes, this is a good quick hit, very, very useful. And of course, yoga. Yoga is great. And a lot of people are intimidated by yoga because they think that you gotta look like this. But if I don't do this, yoga's no good for you. Okay. Now, when you guys meet Emily Nicole, I don't know if she'll do it for us today, but you'll meet people who are really good at yoga, and they do this sort of stuff, and it's like, wow, that's crazy. I'll never do that. I'll never do that. But I do yoga all the time, and I find it very, very helpful. As a matter of fact, you can look like this lady, okay? That's Jessamine Stanley. Anybody hear Jessamine Stanley? Yeah, she's amazing. And she wrote this book called Everybody Yoga, and it's about yoga for all body types and all levels of fitness, okay? And it's really, yoga is for everybody. It's for everybody, no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter what your shape is. It's for everybody. And I highly encourage people to try it. It moves energy, it gets your lymphatics going. It also helps people decrease your stress, like that moment of getting out of your head, because like when you're standing on one foot like this with your hands over your head, really hard to think about anything else, right? So that's part of how it works. Gets you out of your head for a little bit and gets you moving, okay? And it's really excellent for aches and pains, stuff like that. Body work, can't recommend it enough. Any kind of massage, stuff like that, I think is wonderful for people. Aromatherapies, reflexology. Download yourself a reflexology chart, see which point do I push on my foot. I also tell people, just find that spot that just feels a little uncomfortable and push on it. It helps. It really does. It really helps. You can do this on yourself, you can do this on your partners, do this on your kids, do it on everybody. It's very safe, it's a good way to bond physically with people. But reflexology, I think, is great. It's a very, very good system, easy to use. Other kinds of energy work I love too. I find people will resonate with one thing or another, like they'll resonate with craniosacral therapy, which is an energy technique, or Reiki. And the resonance you have with the provider is really important. So if you find someone you get along with, if you really resonate with, these sort of things can be very helpful. And I don't think that you necessarily need to do all of these things I talked about. Like, pick a couple, pick what speaks to you, what says, that sounds like something I'd like. Or, I love botany and botanicals. Okay, you're going to be an aromatherapy person because you start getting into aromatherapy and you learn about all the plants and everything that goes into it. Like that's the kind of sciencey side of it. It's really fascinating and really amazing. Whereas if you're more like a physical touch person, maybe you're going to be more towards wanting to do things like Reiki or craniosacral. So, shifting gears, don't forget about your thyroid, okay? These are the symptoms of thyroid problems. Irregular periods, fatigue, intolerance to heat or cold, constipation, dry skin, hair loss, weight gain, depression, anxiety, discomfort or swelling in your throat. Okay? Any of this sound like menopause? Yeah, it does sound like menopause, right? So when women are going through menopausal transition, this is not an unusual time for thyroid problems to come out. Okay? So when we're doing checks for menopause or problems around time of menopause, always think about your thyroid and things that we do to work that up. Make sure they check your full panel, not just a TSH. Because if you have just a TSH and the TSH is normal, your thyroid hormone levels can actually be really low or functionally low. And you actually do need thyroid support, even though you don't need thyroid hormone yet. You don't need Synthroid or one of these other kind of thyroid preparations. But you may need thyroid support, and we won't know that unless we look at everything. Also, be sure they check antibodies, thyroid peroxidase, and thyroglobulin antibodies. These can come out without overt hypothyroidism. And if you have those things, it's really, really important to modify your diet because the number one cause of thyroid peroxidase and thyroglobulin antibodies is actually gluten. Amazing. You cut gluten out of your diet, those things go away. It's incredible. And people feel way better. Now, gluten is not all evil all the time for every person. Okay? But for a lot of people it is. For a lot of people it's a serious effect. Those sort of things left unchecked will actually lead to hypothyroidism in the long run. I'd love to show this little diagram to people in my clinic. This is from the Institute for Functional Medicine. You can see your thyroid hormone makes a hormone called T4, and then it converts it to T3 or reverse T3. Okay? T3 is the active form of the hormone. That's what does the work. Reverse T3 is what we call a competitive inhibitor. And you want a little bit of both, so you get like a balance, but if your reverse T3 gets too high, that prevents the T3 you have from working. And things that raise your reverse T3 are stuff like stress, trauma, inflammation, toxin, infection, liver, kidney problems. So like a lot of things will raise your reverse T3. And if you don't fix those, the rest of the thyroid doesn't fix, even if the rest of your hormones are good. So you've got to check that level too. Big folks should check that level. And we look over on the other side to see things that are good for your thyroid. Things like these different vitamins and supplements. And of course, at the bottom, very important, exercise. Exercise increases your body's sensitivity to thyroid hormone. So your cells become more receptive to the thyroid hormone when you exercise. It's also really good for your mitochondria. Mitochondria are little energy factories. Okay, so when you exercise, it stimulates your mitochondria and gets them going. So supplements for your thyroid, like I said, these sort of things, vitamins A, B, complex, C, D, and E. Zinc and selenium. Tyrosine is an amino acid that we give. Tyrosine is a precursor. It means it's a building block of thyroid hormone. So if you're low in your tyrosine, it needs extra that. Iron. Anybody here know anybody with anemia? A real common problem, right? You see this often. Anemia. If you don't correct anemia, if your iron levels are low, your iron stores aren't good, your thyroid won't work well. So you have to be real careful with anemia. Make sure you're taking your iron with some vitamin C or a glass of orange juice if it's okay for you to take orange juice, and some folic acid. Because if you don't take it with the vitamin C, you don't absorb the iron level in your stomach. It changes the pH of your stomach, allows you to absorb the iron. And the folic acid is another really important building block of the hemoglobin. Okay, it helps DNA synthesis so your body can actually make new red blood cells. So just if you're anemic, just taking iron is not the whole story. So just add in some folic acid, about 1 milligram, and the vitamin C, like 1,000 milligrams, or drink it with a glass of orange juice all at the same time. Very, very helpful. Iodine levels too. Actually, I found out that I had low iodine levels when I was going in for my first workup for fatigue. And my iodine level was in the toilet. And my doctor told me, if you don't fix that, he's like, your testosterone level, which was also relatively low for my age, he's like, that's never going to come up. Your fatigue's never going to be better. You're going to be yelling from your thyroid's going to go to pot. I'm like, okay, give me some iodine. And I took the iodine and it worked. It's amazing. Another one, though, you need to follow levels. I don't like giving iodine just to everybody all the time, because too much of a good thing can also be a bad thing with iodine. Okay, so iodine's one you want to be careful with, but check your levels, follow, make sure you need it. And of course, exercise and decreasing stress. Exercise, stress reduction are all very, very good for your thyroid. The last little topic I want to cover is bone health. Everybody's aware of, menopause and bone health, and we start talking about, well, when you're 60, we're going to start checking your DEXA scans and blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. very important that you mind your bone health while you're going through menopause, and your whole life, really, as women, as anybody, is important to monitor your bone health, having adequate calcium and vitamin D. But you also need to be sure you have adequate levels of what we call vitamin K2. Anybody hear about vitamin K2? So K2 should come along with D, because the K2 is like the traffic cop for calcium. It directs calcium away from your arteries and into your bones, where it belongs. Okay? And calcium in your arteries is not a good thing. That's what increases your risk for heart attacks and strokes and all that sort of stuff. So if you're taking vitamin D, think hard about taking vitamin K2 as well. Okay? And bones, in addition to storing calcium, they store other stuff. And what we see in this graph here is that right around the time of menopause, this is men's bone loss over time, okay? And this is women's bone loss over time. And you can see right here, the menopausal transition, it's like a roller coaster, like straight down, right? Because the hormonal changes that happen alter your bone physiology, okay? And you start losing your bone rapidly if you're not careful and you don't do things to help support it like we were talking about. But also at this time, other stuff that's stuck in your bones will come out. We think about bones like these kind of like structural pillars that just never change, but they're not. They're constantly turning over. They're constantly metabolically active. And they'll store all sorts of stuff, including heavy metals. Okay? So things like lead, gadolinium. Okay? And if you've ever had an MRI with contrast, when they put the contrast in your vein for MRI, that's gadolinium. Okay? It's treated like a non-toxic substance because it's not radioactive. They even put it like down the sink. It's really nuts in my opinion. But anyway, gadolinium will store in your bones as well. Okay, and when it's released during this time, it'll cause a lot of symptoms. Cadmium, chromium, mercury, arsenic. Everybody's heard probably about mercury toxicity. We get it in the air, we get it in our fish, we get it in water. Arsenic, very high in shellfish, and also conventionally raised chicken and rice. The highest arsenic level I ever saw in my life in a patient was a guy who was a bodybuilder and he ate nothing but chicken and rice. He's like, how can I have toxic metals? I don't eat fish. I'm like, you're eating chicken and rice. Like, and that's all he ate all day long. His arsenic levels were through the roof. Okay? So I hate these sort of moments in my talks because, you know, it's like we live in this toxic soup. It's so depressing about things. But it's important to keep an eye out on these things. So these are the signs of heavy metal toxicity. So things like fatigue, brain fog and memory problems, having trouble concentrating, anemia, GI problems like IBS. Like you get that IBS that nobody can figure out, might be heavy metal. Okay? Tingling or numbness in the extremities, weird pains, like unexplainable pains that no one can figure out, skin rashes that won't go away, weird skin rashes. Always think about heavy metals. Okay? And autoimmune disease. So anybody winds up with an autoimmune disease, you got to think about heavy metals. Think about their exposure and where they've been and what's going on. Because we have this picture in Western medicine, like we're taught in medical school, that like autoimmune disease drops in on you like the safe out in the desert on top of Wile E. Coyote. Remember those? You know, like he's just standing around minding his own business and boom, right? Autoimmune disease. Boom, you got lupus. Where'd it come from? You got it now because you're Remicade. That's the conventional medical looking at things, right? But we know that actually it's associated with all sorts of toxicity, and heavy metals is one of the big ones. Okay, it's also relatively easy to test. So I want to tell a quick story about a patient, a lady in my practice, 50-year-old menopausal stylist. This lady has such style and grace. She comes in there, she looks amazing all the time, always dressed so cool, and her hair is gorgeous. She's 50 years old, looks like she's 35. Okay, Emily knows exactly who this is. She looks amazing. Like you would never know this lady's 50. But she's got the worst hot flashes in the world. Oh my God, I've done everything with her and tried her, and she's got thyroid problems on top of it, so I've optimized her thyroid, and I put her on the supplements, and we're doing this hormone, and we try that hormone, and she's still like, Doc, I'm still, because I go by Chris. But if you want to be fancy, call me Dr. Chris. Like, yeah, Chris, I'm still hot flashing, I can't sleep, blah, 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 and I've been telling her for months, check your heavy metals, please check your heavy metals, please check your heavy metals. And finally she relented, and we checked her heavy metals, and this is what we found. She's got lead, mercury, aluminum, platinum, lithium, and also one called vanadium. Lithium. Oh my God, everybody heard of lithium? We use that stuff to treat bipolar disorder, right? But too much of that makes you worse. Lithium is in hair dye, okay? And this lady is around a little bit of hair dye, even though she says, I use good products. And I know you use good products, but you've been around it for 20 years, after you put it in someone's hair, what do you do at the end? Blow dry it. What does the blow drying do? It aerosolizes it, so it comes out and you breathe it in. Okay? Now, if you're a lady getting your hair dyed, once every couple of months, then that little dose is not huge. But if you're the hairstylist and you're there every day, 5-6 days a week, breathing this stuff in all the time, it's going to build up. And around the time of menopause, where does it comes out? Okay, it comes out. So we're going to have to start our own little detox for her heavy metals, and hoping that's going to help. So we need to eliminate the metals. Really good things for this: chlorella, modified citrus pectin. Anybody hear about chlorella? Chlorella is like a garbage truck of algae. It picks everything up, and you screw it out. How am I doing on time, by the way? Because I want to leave some time for questions.
You're good.
Am I good? Okay, perfect. So I want to leave a little time for questions. Charcoal, and there's also, of course, more intense medical treatments like different kinds of IV therapy or chelation. Those things obviously is very highly dependent on the individual patient and what we were going to do and the type of metals and things like that. Support the liver. Okay? Liver metabolism is incredibly important in this. So things like N-acetylcysteine and L-glutamine or amino acids build up your body's stores of a thing called glutathione. That's what your body uses to detoxify about 80% of toxins. So these guys are good for just about everybody. And also liposome and glutathione. Unfortunately, glutathione itself is very expensive, but it's very useful for these patients. The B vitamins again, and CME, acetylmethionine. This is what helps you methylate stuff, particularly important for arsenic. And alpha-lipoic acid. It's another one of the antioxidants that's involved in glutathione recycling. And last but not least, don't forget you got to pee these things out and poop them out. So when you're doing this, lots and lots of fiber, probiotics. Make sure you're having regular bowel movements, because otherwise it's just going to get stuck. And of course, plenty of hydration. Make sure the kidneys are working well. Okay, and of course, healing the gut. If you have leaky gut, I don't have a whole lot of time to talk about leaky gut. It's a big problem for many, many people. But those other things I recommended are actually really good for it as well. NAC and glutamine, as well as throwing in some quercetin. My favorite is bone broth. I love bone broth. Anybody make bone broth or use bone broth? Bone broth is great. Love it. Have a cup of it. Turn it into soup. Have a cup of soup. It's good for you. Okay? Really, really good for you. And any other bones are fine. Even fish is fine. Fish bones. If you don't want to do, furry animals, or if you only stick to PDI, fish will work. And there's actually vegetarian recipes for vegetarian bone broth that are actually pretty effective as well, using root vegetables and seaweeds and stuff like that. And of course, supporting your GI flora with things like digestive enzymes. A lot of people forget about that. So if you try probiotics and they're not working as well as you think they should, throw some digestive enzymes in there with it when you eat. Because the digestive enzymes often help those things work better, break down your food so it doesn't get into your intestines undigested. And of course, foods. I'm going to go over this real quick because I know we're going to hear a lot about food coming soon. But a good thing I like to talk to people about is to eat the rainbow. Just make sure you got plenty of color in your diet. Anybody know what the most deficient color in our diet is? Not green. Purple! Correct. Wait, tell them what you want. It's purple, right? So purple things. So purple cabbage. Blueberries. Who doesn't like blueberries? Blueberries are actually really good for you. Not in massive quantities, everything in moderation. Please don't go home and eat 3 pints of blueberries. It's a little bit of sugar. But some blueberries, some red cabbages, other sorts of red and purple vegetables, really chard, rainbow chard, all those sort of things, very, very good because they contain all the phytonutrients. And what you're doing when you eat these different colors is you're actually supplying yourself with different micronutrients. Okay? It's not the most perfect, energetic way that we're going to hear more about things, but it's an easy way to start. Okay? And of course, healthy protein. Don't forget to eat plenty of protein wherever you're coming from. When people do things like a juice fast or a juice detox, you may also often hear like, wow, I did this juice detox, and man, I felt like crap. I just felt awful. I thought I was going to die. The reason why that happens is because you induce one part of detoxification without inducing the second part. There's phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 gets induced by all the good veggies and the antioxidants and like all that sort of stuff. But you gotta, that's like kind of like getting everything ready to go to the garbage dump. And then you wind up with this big, huge pile of garbage. And if you don't have phase 2, which requires enzymes, and enzymes are made from protein. And if you don't have the protein, you wind up with a big pile of garbage in the middle because you can't take it out on the street. So it's really important to make sure you have adequate levels of protein while you're doing any sort of a detox program. So I like, buy the best quality proteins that you're able. pasture raised, even better. I love things like lamb. You like lamb? You did. It's really good for you. It's always grass fed. Lamb is always grass fed. Also things like buffalo and bison also have to be grass fed. If you can get a goat, if you like goat, I love goat. Man. A good curry goat, there's nothing better. It's really nutritious for you, actually. And also all those sort of things like oxtail and stuff like that. It's cooked, with the bones, and that bone, as you cook it, it gets that nice, just juicy deliciousness to it. That collagen, super good for your bones, super good for your GI tract, super good for your skin. Okay. Oh yeah, and by the way, I forgot to tell you, all this stuff I told you is really good for your skin and hair. So like at the very least, it'll make you look good, right? So skin, hair, and nails, very important. And of course, the prebiotic foods, things to help your GI flora. This is a good list of them. Fiber, artichoke hearts are wonderful for this. Garlic and chicory. Onions, hooray, good. We get to eat onions, these are good for us. Flax seeds, asparagus, jicama. You guys like jicama? Jicama is lovely. It's like a little root vegetable. You can like julienne it, put some cilantro and lime. It's fantastic. This is my quick recipe for detox juices and smoothies. So my favorite detox juice is cucumber, celery, a little bit of ginger, lemon, and a ton of cilantro. Cilantro is a natural heavy metal chelator. It gets heavy metals out of your body, but you gotta put like 3 or 4 sprigs won't do it. You gotta put like half a bunch in there. So if you like cilantro, juice it, drink it, it's fantastic. If you don't like cilantro, I understand. Some people find cilantro to taste very soapy. It tastes like soap. Don't like it. I get it. If you don't like it, okay. But it's a good natural remedy for heavy metal. And of course, a detox smoothie, if you prefer, is things like dark berries. So blueberries, blackberries, raspberries are the best. Mix that with some protein powder and a fiber supplement, some chia and flax seeds, a probiotic yogurt if you're okay with dairy. If you're not okay with cow dairy, try sheep or goat. A lot of people do much better with sheep or goat dairy as opposed to cow dairy. And even just a little bit's okay. Or get yourself a probiotic, any probiotic pill, open it up, put it in there. No problem. And any of these supplements, just about any of these supplements, except for, I'll tell you, indole 3-carbinol, any of the supplements that come in powder form, you can put them in the smoothie. But don't do it with indole 3-carbinol, remember that one, because indole 3-carbinol comes from cabbage, and it tastes horrible. We once did it, we put it into a juice, and it's like, whoa. Smells like the dog farted or something. It's really bad. So yeah, don't blame the poor dog, it knows. But it's not terribly tolerable. Most of this other stuff is, though. And of course the chlorella. Throw a nice scoop of chlorella in there, it makes this beautiful dark green color. And it helps pick up all the garbage and bring it out. And if your doctor won't listen to you, if you won't do your tests, and I say he or she, we can all be a little stubborn. Take it into your own hands. There's tests you can do at home. Okay? 2 companies I love, everlywell.com and Thorne, Thorne, Thorne.com. Thorne also makes excellent supplements, really top-notch quality supplements. And you can check your stuff at home. Pretty much everything I talked about today, you can do your own home test. Without a doctor's visit, you do it yourself, and there you go. You got your hormone levels, you got your vitamin D level, you got a heavy metal test, you got a thyroid test, you got all that sort of stuff. So you can do it yourself if you can't get someone to do it for it. Or if you don't have insurance, you know someone who doesn't have insurance, can't afford to go to a doctor, this is a lot cheaper than a month's insurance premiums. Okay, so it's just another alternative way to do it. If you do find something, find someone who can help you. Find someone who can help you, find someone who knows about this stuff. IFM.org is a great website. It's got a lot of different providers you can use, Institute for Functional Medicine. Also check out if you're interested in other alternative providers, acupuncturists, Chinese medicine providers, naturopaths as well, tend to be into this sort of stuff. And kind of an underutilized resource. So, that's my talk, and now we have some questions.
Are you going to post this on the cafe website so we can check it out so we can review it?
Are we going to post this on the cafe website?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, so don't worry, you can go through all this stuff. And,
We have video. It's all video as
too.
well. So.
Caveat to all this stuff, don't take everything I said. Start with a couple. Don't go home with 15 bottles and say, Chris said, I gotta take all this stuff because I had the hot flashes. No, don't do that. Because that's stepping on the gas a little bit too hard. If you know you have an issue around these things, if you're not taking these things. And by the way, too, I didn't even mention it, a good old-fashioned multivitamin goes a long way. That's really simple and easy, and it's usually one or two pills. That's easy to do. And if you want something a little simpler, rather than taking 4 or 5 things, you can just take 1, and that's better than nothing. But you definitely don't take everything all at once. Yes. Wonderful. That's a great question. So the question was, can you tell me the difference between hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's? So the difference is just nomenclature. Hashimoto's is a type of hypothyroidism. Specifically, it is hypothyroidism that is associated with those antibodies. It's called autoimmune thyroiditis. That's the other one that we call it. So Hashimoto's is a subset of hypothyroidism because you can have low thyroid function and not have the antibodies. But if you have low thyroid function and the antibodies, that's what we call Hashimoto's. Yeah. Make sense? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Without going into all the details, I feel like I need to fire a doctor.
Yeah, don't worry, you're not alone. I've been fired before. So.
And just in your opinion, 51, hypothyroidism, some abnormal blood work now. I can't travel to Miami to you. Should I focus on another family type doctor, or should I try to, well, I'm already established with an OBGYN. Would it be better to just go
Keep
that
pestering them?
Sorry?
Would it be better to keep pestering the person you're already with?
Yeah, like, I mean, is there more of a specialty in this world of menopause and all that with the OBGYN
Yeah.
versus?
Well, I mean, you know, when it comes to menopause and menopause management, you don't have to be OBGYN to do it. I mean, they like to think that we own the field, but you could be a family doc, you could be you could be a naturopath, you could be an acupuncturist. I mean, like, it's not like something magical. It's not like we're not doing brain surgery here, so you don't have to be a board certified person in menopause. As far as I'd like to speak to the doctor-patient relationship thing. And if you feel like you're not getting what you need out of your physician, look around.
I'm there.
Look around. Look around. It's hard. And in the conventional world, and when I say conventional, I mean like your typical office that is the insurance provided, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's very, very, very difficult to find someone who's going to pay attention to all this stuff because a lot of it has to do with time pressure, and they tend to do cookbook.
Yeah.
Because I've got 15 minutes blocked for each patient, of which I have about 5 to 7 minutes to spend actually talking to you, and then I have another 5 to 7 minutes when I can write my notes and do my billing, and then handle this over here, and then I'm on to the next one. So they tend to be very superficial, and they tend to just kind of do the same thing over and over and over again. Granted, that works for a lot of people. That works for a good chunk of the population. People do well, they like their doctors, it's great, fine, no problem. But if you need a deeper dive, you need someone who can take time. And like my minimum, like when I start with patients, I take an hour or an hour and a half, FaceTime. And then when I do follow-ups, most of my follow-ups are at least 30 minutes. And that's FaceTime, like actually talking to them. Because I can't get to know someone in an hour and a half. I mean, even an hour and a half, it's like, how can I know your whole life in an hour and a half? I try. But like it's impossible. So I say shop.
And follow up to that, you had mentioned the full workup.
Yeah.
I'm finding that might be different to different people. So is there some sort of point, like reference point, where is there something posted somewhere where truly what a full workup is, or a full panel?
Yeah, it's interesting. Full panels is different things for all people.
Right.
Yeah. So like, what my full? I mean, because like, you come to me and say, "Man, I want to do everything." I'm like, "No problem. You got like $5,000-6,000? I'll run every lab I got. I'll do it for you. I don't care if you don't care." And I've got patients like that who come in and they can drop that kind of money and they just check everything. Okay. It's not the most efficient way to do things. It's certainly not the most cost effective. But like, we're talking like more advanced things like heavy metal versus environmental toxin versus advanced hormone workups versus stuff that gets covered through insurance though, usually it's just a matter of checking a couple more boxes. But I'm going to let you in on a secret, okay? Conventional medical world secret. Insurance companies, in particular HMOs and stuff like that, watch the labs that doctors order closely. So if you start ordering more and more labs, you get a naughty letter that says, "Doctor, you're not an efficient provider. We might drop you." And they'll do it. I got that letter. I took insurance for a little while in the private practice setting, and I got that naughty letter from an unnamed insurance company, and then I don't take insurance anymore. Like, we do our practice, we don't take insurance at all. We'll give you bills that you can submit, but we don't take insurance, and that's part of it because they will control what you order. So a doctor, like vitamin D levels are often very hard for people to get. Medicare won't pay for them unless there's really strong indications, like you've got broken bones. And by the time you're already like down, I could just look and say, okay, I'm pretty sure you're vitamin D deficient. They won't pay for it. And you'll get a bill from Buster LabCorp that's like crazy. Yeah, so like, whereas you can go online and go to Everlywell, I think Everlywell's vitamin D test, I think, was $79. I mean, so like, it's insane. And I know, by the way, because I was, like I said, I was chief medical officer of a couple organizations. I know what it costs the labs to run vitamin D. It costs them $100, and they send you a bill for a couple hundred. It's horrible. I know it's horrible. But I'm not up here just to bash them, although we can do that all day long. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Suggestion for the early diagnosis of osteoporosis, because I know to the doctor, and what's the medication that they recommend? My mind's blank right now, but the one that can cause your jaw to deteriorate.
One of the, like, you mean Relaxafine, like one of those drugs?
My mind is blank right. It's one that's been around for years, but that can be one of the possible side effects.
Yeah, it's called a CERM, and there's a bunch of them out there. Meloxicam is the one I'm totally blanking on. Are we ready? We're done? Okay, this is it.
No, but can you repeat the question?
Okay, so repeat the questions about early onset osteoporosis. Okay, that's complicated. That's a complicated question. And my opinion about SERMs is equally complicated. So these things, they have significant side effects, and they can be risky. And like, if you don't use them in the setting of a comprehensive program, it can make it worse. So like, you got to make sure that you're doing everything else. Because if you just take the Relaxafine, it's not going to, it might make it worse. It might not even fix the problem. So we have to think about what caused this premature bone loss. And like, again, that's a very individualized workup. I'll tell you, like, you know, all the thyroid, all the hormone stuff is really important. Toxicity is also very important. And if I thought longer, I could probably think of a couple other things I would do, but I would individualize it based on the person. Also, chronic infections, believe it or not. I've also heard of this even in the setting of Lyme, which, you know, is another thing that we treat in our office is Lyme and mold toxicity. I didn't even talk about Lyme and mold today. But that's another thing, like, if you've got weird symptoms that aren't getting better and no one can figure it out, you've been to every doctor in town and they're like, I don't know why you have that, think about Lyme and mold. And yes, we have Lyme disease in Florida. Don't let anybody tell you different. It's here. We have less, but it's here. Yes?
I was just wondering, say, we try some supplements, how long should we really give it to feel it's healthy? I know ideally the doctor's monitoring, but realistically.
In the real world? It's a great question. So the question was, how long do I give a supplement before I say, is this working or not? You should feel something in the first couple of weeks. If you feel worse, stop. Yeah, if you feel worse, stop. Okay. Sometimes you might feel a little bit worse at the beginning and then you pop back up. So if you're like a little bit worse, a little different, then, you know, oh, now I feel better. Okay, good. Like you're detoxing, that's good. Don't let yourself feel worse for a month. Okay, because if you're feeling worse for a month, maybe this just does not agree with you for whatever reason, or there's something else going on. You need to try something different. But I tell people to give their supplements at least a couple of weeks before we say it's not working. No, I mean, a couple of weeks you should feel something. If you feel nothing after 2 months, then okay, it's maybe not the right thing for you. How are we doing on time?
One more question.
One more question. One more question. I'm going to get that back corner. I'm sorry. I'm not going to neglect that corner. Yes?
I was just curious about calcium. There's so many types and varieties of calcium, so I always go to the health food store and I'm overwhelmed. Like, during this time stage in life, and that varies per time, what should I look at, or is it just depends on the...
So there's this great teacher we had in the Institute for Functional Medicine. His name is Dr. Tom Solt. And he didn't apply this directly to calcium, like you say, but he's actually talking about probiotics. I'm going to put it onto the calcium talk anyway. And when paraphrasing Dr. Solt is, the best calcium is the calcium you take. That's what he says about probiotics. The best probiotics are the probiotics you take. So like, you know, everybody, there's going to be a million claims out there, our calcium is the best, my calcium is the best, this calcium is the best. And maybe there's some slight advantages between one versus the other. So the best calcium for you is the highest quality calcium that you can afford. Okay? Because I mean, some of these things you look at and you go, whoa, really? That's expensive. Okay? And sometimes maybe it's worth it, because if it's really a big problem, you're really having trouble with absorption, maybe this is better for you. What I do recommend for all supplements in general, use supplements that are third-party tested. Use supplements that are third-party tested. And what I mean by third-party tested is that they had someone else actually verify that this pill of vitamin C or calcium or whatever actually has 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C in it and not 400 milligrams of vitamin C and 600 milligrams of sawdust. Because that's real. That's not propaganda. Vitamin companies are regulated by the FDA like food. So when they do purity analysis and they put it out there, they're basically checking for cockroach legs and rat poop. Okay, like that's what they're looking at. Not is it 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. But a lot of companies will spend the money to have a third party test their stuff to say, yes, we certify that it's not got no heavy metals, it's clean, and also it has what I say is in it. Those vitamins do tend to be a little more expensive, and that's why, because they're really into quality control. So if you want to know my favorites, like Pure Encapsulations, I love them, they're great. Thorne, Thorne, Thorne is really good. Those are like Thompson is another one. But like those are my favorites. Generally speaking, the generic ones, like CVS, Walgreens, Sam's Club brands, not so good because they don't test it. So you want ones that are actually tested. Because if you're going to spend your money on it, it's worth it to spend a couple extra bucks and you're getting a decent one. But you don't necessarily have to buy the most expensive. Okay, that was my time. Well, thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Estes. Thank you. So just sit quiet for a second. Just take a deep breath. There's a lot of information, and there's nuggets that are for you. As like Chris said, if you went out and did all of these things and bought all of these products and started, right? It's not going to work if you do it a day, right? And there are a lot of people taking notes. That's always wonderful. So just sit for a moment and just ask yourself, of that, what resonated with me? How can that inform me, my body, where I am, in my health, in my exercise? Yeah. Is it the chlorella? Is it probiotics? Is hydration? The K2. So many suggestions, really good ones. And there's one that's right for you. There may be more than one. So just take a deep breath. There was the yoga movement, the silent meditation every morning for 5 minutes. Make a commitment right now to yourself. Not to think about it, let me get home and digest it. Like right now, make a commitment to yourself of something new to bring forth into your life that will support what it is that you came here to birth. What is that? What is that for you? Beautiful. And write it down. Write it down. Write it down in your heart. Write it down in your heart. Use your imagination. Print it right there and print it on your heart. And let it birth something new for you. So our next speaker, who you've already heard about, Nani Jean Scarsafafa, is going to create a whole new way to look at food that you won't believe its impact. Nani Jean.
Can you hear me? All right. So if I'm too loud, somebody wiggle, and if you're not hearing me, then shake your right foot. So Paula had these cards on everybody's chair, and mine says that the point from which you are consciously perceiving, that point is a segment. And I'm just in awe of how these cards always are just so right on. So we just experienced something that was profound from Chris, and Paula made a pause so that we knew that was a segment. And now we're in a different segment. But in order to go on to the next segment, there has to be an intention. And I'm learning more and more and more that that is in every moment of our lives. That life is not, I meditate now and I'm done for the day. It's like everything you do becomes a meditation. If you're washing the dishes, and I think that's how I came to talk to food, or food came to talk to me, or I opened my ears to hear something I'd never heard before. So, let me just start by going back intentionally to that amazing tree of life image. You saw it up here. You don't have to have it up there to see it again. But that tree of life image was so profound for me in watching it this morning, because I, for 6 years, scribed with a man from Japan who was an amazing teacher about food. And so that image, maybe I can, okay, can you hear me? If you can't, maybe you can see me. That image of the tree of life. So this teacher about food says that woman is that tree of life. And that when it is determined, when you come to this body as a woman, that the earth enters that tiny little part that becomes you. And that enters us from the bottom up. And that's why we project that energy out here in our boobs, which then nurtures those that are created from this body. So I turned to my friend and said, you know, we eat the earth and the earth eats us. When we die, our bodies go back and nourish her. And so as we come into this body fully, we are filling each little cell of this body with light. And every little cell of that body filled with light goes back to more nourishing of our Mother Earth. And so that when a male comes into this body, the male comes in from the sun. And from that sun energy, that energy is projected downward and out to the penis. And so that is a different energy than what we women are. We women are the earth. This body of mine is my earth. Now comes from her, from the earth. So that man's body is also made of our Mother Earth. As a result of that, the male body is also in the feminine reality in the sense of energetics. All bodies come from our Mother Earth. That's the reality of this earth plane that we are here to learn from. It's all just a school. So I come here at the invitation of my friend Paula, who lives across the street from me in New York, and we share a lot of things together. One of them is Sweat Lodge. That's something I've been doing for 30 years, and so in that tradition too, it's like the male comes from the sun energy, and the woman comes from the earth energy. As a result, we have different things to do in this reality. In our traditional ceremonies, the women prepare the food, and they serve the food. That may seem very patriarchal, and it is in everyday life, maybe that way. I don't know where we're going. I don't really know where we came from. And I sure as heck don't know what we're doing right now. But it has become clear to me that if we could look at our mother as the earth and our father as the sun, we could probably save 40 years of counseling. Because we spend, one of the people I studied with said, you know, you Americans, you spend 20 years trying to work out your mother issues. And then you figure, well, okay, got those, and now we spend 20 years trying to work out the father issues. If you just knew that the sun was your father and the earth was your mother, you know, you wouldn't have to spend all that time. So, I don't know if that is true or not. I know that food speaks. And so, Chris, I'm not going to tell them what to eat. You've already told them very well in my book, you know, eat the rainbow. Yes. But I am going to tell you that we commune, that we communicate with food, and that food communicates to us. It is a communication of information from our mother. And she is always trying to help us be healthy so that she can be healthy. It just makes sense. You want to become healthy so that your mother doesn't suffer. So it's bigger than any one of us. It's all of us. I knew this morning when I tried to get all the notes together, they'd go by the wayside. But there's something that's said here that's way better than I could put it, so I want to read this. Can you still hear me back there? The earth teaches us through entities called elementals. The elementals have existed since time immemorial and are the record keepers of all life activity on the planet. When we as humans forget our way, and there is a disconnection within the body. I think I'm too loud for the dog. Yes. Precious. I'm sorry. When we as humans get our way, and there is a disconnection within the body, it is the information and knowledge recorded in the plants by the elementals that allow a reconnection in the human body on the cellular and vibrational level. Plants have a secret language that, if we can comprehend, will prevent disease that is a manifestation of living out of harmony and balance with our great Mother Earth. When we consume plants as a part of our diets for medicinal purposes, we are consuming Earth. Old information recorded in the cells of the plant that causes us to be reminded of a great truth. Connection is balance, and balance is wholeness, which is the way of life. Our word heal derives from a root word meaning whole. It is only when we are whole that we are truly healed. I can't explain viscerally or share viscerally enough of how that connectedness with the source of us, our mother, is what is out of balance. And we can do everything right and still be sick. I listened to a podcast from a physician, a woman in Marin County, California, who had become sick as a doctor. Many women that we know who are women doctors, their way out is to get sick. Men maybe have the clarity to, change from being a doctor or a lawyer to being something else, or at least in a traditional medical model. But women, it's like, gosh, you went through all this and you did this and you've got to do it now. You've got to fix people and you've got to heal people and you've got to take care of the whole world because everybody needs taken care of. And so we take it in and we take it on and we hold it and we can't let go of it. And so it eventually just weighs us down. So we get sick. And so the sickness, it's almost like you've got to figure out a way to unkeep the garden hose and let that flow of energy come in you and out of you, like the in-breath and the out-breath. Bring it up from the earth into you. So I want you to begin to look at food. I want you to begin to look at food as this sacred morsel of your mother, who, if you can eat it in a healing way, then it heals her too. So, what more valuable work than eating? I love food. I grew up in a farm, right out of the earth. My parents had an 8th grade education. They were farmers, and we grew everything we ate. And most people back there, my sisters and brothers, still live in Arkansas. So I think I've just come back to the roots of that beautiful tree. And what more beautiful? The roots. The roots. This came from the root ball of the tree. Paula told me that story word mugwort was in my head. Okay? I think that's the first time I realized that food was speaking to me. But I didn't know what mugwort was. I don't know if I ever really heard the name. I mean, horehound, I knew. I planted that herb, and because my mama liked horehound candy, and I thought, well, after she died, I'm going to plant some horehound. I don't know. But that word, mugwort, was in my consciousness when I woke up. I called the institute where I had been scribing, and I said, you know, that mugwort, is it a food? What is it? And they, oh yeah, we sent you some mugwort in sweet mochi. Okay, so I ate mugwort for a while. Obviously, my body needed mugwort. And they, you know, it was common knowledge. They put it in little squares that were made from sweet brown rice. And so, then the next time that I heard it in a different way was I had agreed to cook for a retreat that my friend from Mexico and my friend from New York were doing in Washington, D.C. for a group of 15 women. And so I said, sure, I'll do all the food. I prepared it. I mean, I brought it with every bean with me. I knew exactly what I wanted to make. I had it all planned out, tahini, X amount, this. Everything was perfectly planned. I'm telling you, I got in that kitchen and I started cooking and nothing turned out. It was like this dressing wanted to be in this, and I was just like in this flow of the information and the being with food in a way that I was open to it transforming itself. And the friend who was teaching meditation for that retreat, called me on her way back to Mexico, and she said, tell me, how did you do that? Because her master had died 16 years before, and she said, I have never, ever reached or taken a group that high and through that doorway in meditation since my master died. And she said it was the food. And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I still don't know, but I know I've got chill bumps on me right now. I know that I could not teach it while I was doing it, which is what she had asked me to do during that retreat, was to teach it, to teach what you're doing, right? But somehow I haven't learned enough to teach it and do it at the same time. I have to just be doing it. And so, since then, when I am very, as Paula called us back to stillness, when I am cooking out of that place of stillness, the tarragon tells me, I don't want to be chopped. I want to be muddled. Well, what in the heck is muddling? Well, you got a little thing and you muddle it. And I'm, okay, I'll muddle you. I start to muddle it. And it's like, no, with olive oil. Put some olive oil in the muddling. So I do it. And then the shallots talk and say what they want. And it's not things I planned. It's not what I doctor says, take your medicine, right? So we take our medicine. But there is a difference in taking your medicine and receiving your medicine. And so I want to spend some time with that experience because it was one of the biggest shifts in my life to experience the difference between taking something and taking something into my body and receiving something into my body. So I want to tell you about how it happened first, and then Paula, will you give me kind of a heads up when it's 15 minutes or maybe 20? I want to have time for us to experience the food. So about 30 years ago was my first time to Sundance. So Sundance is you dance all day long without any food or water for 4 days in the hot sun. And this was, maybe you're in the rain. It depends on whether the sun shines or not. But it is 4 days, and you're up from first light until sundown. And so and you're carrying your sacred pipe in one arm, and that's like carrying an altar. So walking out of that arbor after the 4 days, there is a woman standing with this beautiful basket. This basket is full of sacred food. Probably some of you know about that combination that they make in order to feed people sacred food. It's used in ceremony. Yes? Okay. So there's about 200 people, and you're walking single file. And I can't see what's happening in front of me. I'm just going the next. Well, so I reach into the basket to take the food because she's holding the basket, making no intention toward me to offer me the food. She's just holding the basket, right, of food. And as I reach for that morsel of food, I don't even get to the food itself. She takes my hand so lovingly, and she puts it back to my body. And she takes with her fingers that morsel of food, and she places it in my mouth. And in that moment, there was that realization, and the dam broke. I knew that until then, all food I had consumed, I had taken from my mother. I had not received it. I had taken it. And it just was it was the river that wouldn't quit flowing. And then you're greeted with all the thousands of people who've come to support from all of the communities all around. And it was just bawling. I could not stop the tears. I could not stop the flow. And I believe that is the point at which maybe I opened the garden hose for myself and could actually have something, appreciation of food, of what it truly was. And so I want to have you experience that today. Blossom and Sonia and Teresa, Chris, is your wife Teresa here? All right, if everyone would actually treat this experience as if it were sacred, please, everyone remain silent until you've returned to your seats and just chew, chew, chew. Okay, so I guess we did pretty good for the first try at that. I guess it wasn't quite as I had imagined it, but what is in life, right? So, one of the things I know is that each of you are the most important thing in the consumption of food. Each of you are the organism that finds its way in this world and the energy to give that to our Mother Earth. Thank you, Jeff, for the music. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's so many things that I had planned to share with you, and I'm sorry I didn't get to them all. I do want to read just this one last thing. Just melt. Our world needs more fluidity than ice. Let the ice melt. Not about the ego becoming enlightened. That happens by grace. Divine melts us. We do not achieve it. We already are. We are water, but we've turned to ice. No wonder the great glaciers are melting. Our earth tries to give us a message. It's always in metaphor, but if we listen, we can help her. Let the sun melt you. Let the sun melt us. Us, we, not other. In Lakesh Alakin, I am you, you are me. Step back with the ego leading our awakening process. Let the survival patterns we develop to function in this world melt away. Trust each other. Have the willingness and patience to be with each other. Unwind the core ego. Empty it out. Let's do an ego-ectomy. What holds that in place anyway? All of those systems that are broken and don't serve us any longer. Paula opened with something about, or was it Lori who said they're still trying to find the good way to navigate through the system to get the services that are needed. So let's just all melt into each other. Know that we are the flow in this world of the most divine, and that source energy can be felt when you eat food. Thank you.
Across the street from Ginny. She's an incredible cook. And she's generous in her offerings. So it couldn't have landed in a better spot. I was arriving in a new city, new town. All right, everybody take a deep breath. Ginny talked about that pause. So we're just pausing before we run to the next. And just, what's the take home for you today? What's your new relationship with food? Is there one? What was the message? Connecting. I did an experiment. We're going to get to lunch in 1 second, but just to say, we had 2 glasses with an ounce of gin in each one. And everyone in the group prayed over one of the glasses of the ounce of gin, and the other received no prayer.
it took the bite out of the gin. Everyone in the group, kind of non-believers, said, oh my gosh, the glass I prayed over tastes incredibly different. So those who drank alcohol said, I'm just going to buy cheap gin from now on and pray over it before and pray over it before my guests arrive, you know. So as we come and we contemplate and be with our food and create that relationship and come into gratitude, it creates a different energy within us and outside of us within the food that we're having. So we are going to transition to lunch, which is across the hallway. Before we do that, I want to make a note. So my workshop, because was going to be in one of those rooms. If you're coming to the workshop on beliefs, that is going to be in Plaza J. Plaza J is in James, is in Jane. Yes, for both times. Those rooms are going to be down the hallway. You take a left and you take another left. And we have people standing at that time to show you the way. We need to start these on time. We'll urge you out of the lunchroom on time, you know, so you have time to get there to the workshops that you choose. Remember, it's not on your agenda, but be back here at 3:20 for the yoga. All these chairs will disappear, leaving some, of course, for anyone wanting to do the yoga exercises in your chair. Absolutely phenomenal, absolutely possible. So so other than that, this room will be transformed for after the breaks. Claudia Castillo's will be in this room. So if you're coming to Claudia's on mindfulness, that will be here. All right, anything else? Yes, take everything with you because we're moving the chairs and everything when you get back. Enjoy your lunch, enjoy your workshops, and we'll see you back here at 3:10 in this room for the group session.